What's up, guys? Welcome to the Axios Fucks podcast. Vasily, what episode are we on?
37. This is 37. That's for
37.
sure. That's for sure. I actually remembered it this time. I looked before we actually started this thing.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so Vasily's going to start it off. Vasily, what's the topic for today?
So I don't really know how I could put this really in words or like a title, but in the words I can put it in, it's like how being interesting is a currency, is considered to be a currency. So long story short, I had a conversation with someone, and this person
An interesting lifestyle, right?
interesting lifestyle in any way, like interesting, like let's just be honest, like if you saw a purple person, if you saw someone who's purple, you're gonna immediately, you don't care about anything else besides like this person's kind of cool. They're purple. Why are
Yeah.
they purple?
Right.
Compared to if they're just, the other colors of the rainbow that we all see every day. But basically with this currency is what I mean, the fact that when you're talking to someone, what is making the conversation feeling as if there's a pull, right? A lot of people make money. There's no lie. There's a lot of people that make a lot of money. There is like more than you can even think. There's people that make, 7 digits, 8 digits, 9-digit figure earnings. That's all great. And there comes a point where, obviously with that money, you can become an interesting person. But even if you didn't have money, what makes you interesting, right? So, for example, my whole conversation with this person was, these people that they were talking to had like degrees and academic prestige, I guess you could say, which can be found anywhere, which can be found in a lot of places in the world now, especially in like the Boston area. It can be found in New York, San Francisco, the bigger cities. I thought about the example of the Iron Cowboy. So for the people who are listening, the Iron Cowboy ran, I believe, 52 Ironmans 50 Ironmans in 50 different states in 50 days. Like that's pretty damn interesting.
Yeah,
You start
because it
questioning
takes
yourself.
a lot. Because it takes a lot of discipline, a lot of hard work, a lot of ambition. The things that we would respect in somebody.
Yeah, which work and school and those things are interesting.
In a man specifically.
In a man specifically. But those things can always be done. Like the Iron Cowboy, what he did, like that was a world record. Like no one's ever actually done that before.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's another example is Dave Goggins. This guy, now he's probably very wealthy, but what made him known and become interesting was the fact of he was doing the extreme of he was becoming the uncommon upon the uncommon. That's his line.
I think he sold like what, 50 million books or
something?
something?
It Can't Hurt Me. Yeah.
And each book he self-published it.
He self-published, yeah.
So he's just raking in the dough.
He's raking in the dough now, but that's the thing. He's interesting because of what he did in his life in terms of like pushing the envelope a little bit.
Right, a lot of it, yeah.
So you can even turn it. We can even use this for like I'll even go about it where it's like for a guy, for example. I gave this example to Christian when we were upstairs, just kind of discussing what this is going to be about. And if you're in a circumstance where you're speaking to a girl, let's just everyone think about it. It's you and one other guy. One guy goes up. He kind of like pitches himself. Oh, I make, let's say $500,000 and I went to X university. I've only really been to the state I'm in right now. And I'm just really looking to buy a house and kind of settle down. Right.
Right.
So to many, I mean, he's in a prestigious college. He makes massive amounts of money. Like that's definitely the top 1%, I'm sure, in the United States.
How much?
Probably $500,000.
Oh yeah,
for 1%. So he's make $500,000. And he doesn't travel much, so he wants to settle down. So for many people, that's like amazing. Like that, you would be lucky to meet someone like that.
Right.
But then you turn it around and you say, the guy who's on the Dos Equis commercial.
Oh yeah, most interesting man in the world.
The most interesting man in the world. Where let's just put a description on this guy. He's been to every single state in the U.S. He's traveled all across the globe. He started multiple businesses. They never were like massive, but he's able to sell them and get by just to continue to travel. And he's fluent in like 2 or 3 languages, but by living in those places. And then he also makes an okay wage. Let's just say he makes about $80,000 a year, right? But he's done so much, and he has a personality based off these experiences. I think, in my opinion, that point of interest, or like what makes that person interesting, is the currency. Because not only does it take money to become that to become that interesting of a person with the travel, I just genuinely think what you put in to your life in terms of spending to go travel and things, you are actually investing yourself
Yeah, big time.
with that.
Conversations, you can have better stories and everything like that. And I think going back to what I said earlier, like um I think there's specific things that like a guy will like the qualities that they'll look for in a girl that will be different than what a guy looks in to respect another guy. So for example, obviously like that sounds kind of obvious,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course, yeah.
But I think for example, like men will respect other men like David Goggins because he did so much
Mm-hmm.
starting from so little,
Mm-hmm.
and he really continued to push the envelope in the physical and mental realm.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, it can be different for women.
Yeah.
It's almost it's just a different thing. And then I think for you know I think for women it's going to be different for other women, and then
Mhm.
women to men as well.
Yeah.
I think it's just four different things.
Yeah, I think I just think that the idea of like, let's just say, for example, another one. Would you be more interested in hearing about the man who started in the Harlem, let's just say, I don't know, ghetto or Harlem streets, right?
Mhm.
Let's say he was homeless at one point. He was freaking homeless at one point.
Mhm.
He went from homeless to creating a small business where he's making a good wage of, let's say, $200,000, a great wage. That's a good
Mhm.
wage. Would you be interested in hearing that story, or would you be interested in hearing about the guy who was gifted $10 million from his
Mhm.
parents and was able to create a business that's worth $20 million?
Yeah, not the trust fund baby at
Yeah.
all. And in fact, it's almost like when you hear a story about, let's say you have a speaker that comes to your school or that comes to an event, and he's telling you, "Hey, this is how I started my business, was able to scale my business, and this is where I'm at now."
Mm-hmm.
That's not as interesting as when he says, "Hey, this is everything I did wrong for the first 3 years of my
Yeah, that's
business
facts.
that didn't allow
Mm-hmm.
me to actually progress forward. When I was able to progress forward, I hit other roadblocks and I lost all my self-confidence. I had to
Mm-hmm.
sleep on the couch, and
Because it's more real to the common man,
it's
is what I
more
believe.
it's more of like it's solving somebody else's issue
Mm-hmm.
versus saying, "Hey, I like did all of this."
I got a crypto bump. The first time I put 10 grand in and I made $1 billion.
Yeah.
And then nothing ever went wrong. Nothing ever went wrong. So it's
Right.
like, what was it? I was reading some LRH yesterday, I think it was. And it was talking about like what creates the character is the obstacles he's willing to overcome. So it's having to do with that courage reference I
Mm.
talked about,
Yeah.
where like courage you can either neglect, confront, or like I forget what the third one
It's
is.
like the obstacle is the way.
The obstacle is the way. So however you handle the obstacle is really what
You're going to be
creates.
providing value to somebody else. You could have provided in the way of stories, in the way of showing somebody how you did it so that they can profit the same way
Mhm.
in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. So I think if someone could take something from this, if you're like maybe a guy, or it doesn't matter if you're a girl, whatever it may be, take that example I gave you and think about it. And I could be wrong. It's person to person. Everyone has a different expectation or what they're looking for. But would you be more interested in someone who has done so much, tried so many things, maybe doesn't have as much, but has a story compared to that person who took the not the guaranteed road, but like the more normal road. Aaron
Mhm.
Cairo did a TEDx talk about this in
Mm.
Austria.
Yep.
This was take the road that's less traveled.
Hmm.
That's what it was. When you talk about something about the road that's less traveled, it immediately pulls in questions.
Yeah.
So I find, I mean, we can even make this very quick and just kind of wrap it up. But I find that, all in all, being an interesting person is a modern
Commodity.
day, yeah,
It's a
it's a
commodity.
commodity. It's an actual currency today that can be valued,
Yeah.
comparable to someone who has actual currency in their pockets,
Big time.
but doesn't have a character that's built from experience.
Well, think about it. Somebody who's 30, ready?
Mhm.
Somebody who's 30 who has a lot of money is not able to speak from in a room with people who, let's say, have a lot more experience traveling, right?
It'd be
Or
awkward,
experience
actually. It'd
in
be really. Now
it
I'm just
would be
thinking about
very
it.
awkward.
It'd be very awkward.
Or experience going to a third world country.
Mhm.
They don't really know from a different perspective of and maybe it's not traveling, maybe it's just like they've never I don't know. I
Dude,
mean, there's
actually anything.
unlimited
Now you
things.
really think about it. The thing is, we only just money is such a big thing in the world today. But
Mhm,
if you were a millionaire, but you've never drove, or you've never built a car before,
mhm.
for example, you've never built a
And
car.
you're in a room with people
Who built a car? You are the minority. You're the weirdo at that point,
right.
right?
Everyone's
So
having conversations and you're like, I don't even know where
no
to
one
start.
cares about your money at that point.
Yeah.
So it's like experience. So it's like real life experience. You might learn all these different things. That's the
And it
thing.
is worth money because when you think about it, if you're willing to spend 50,000 on like a few years of school where you're just in a classroom,
Yeah.
you're not even moving, you're not getting real world experience.
No, you're not.
So if you're willing to do that, but then you're not willing that, but then you conserve all your money and you're not willing to go have experiences in other places or go do different things or meet different people, like different people from different walks of life. Like I'm talking about people who may be extremely poor, or then people who are extremely wealthy, or people who have that lifestyle where they're super wealthy but super modest, and then the people who are extremely like flat
Flashy and
flashy, and then they also make a lot of money. I think there's so many different like dynamics to that too,
Mhm.
because I've seen people who they make a lot of money and they're super flashy.
Mhm.
And then I've seen people who make a lot of money and they use their money in different ways.
Yeah.
They don't care about having 3 cars and a house and multiple houses. They would rather travel and they'd rather have, you know, reserves for their family, or maybe the
Yeah.
business that they're in, they want to just pour all the money back into their business and not even they don't care for
To
anymore.
enjoy themselves in
Right.
that aspect. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a cool topic because it's what you think, it's what you find to be interesting. And I think a lot of what today someone might value interest on, unless you're in a room of people who've done a bunch of things, is either income and then also schooling, academics.
Mhm.
That's what they find to be interesting.
You think so? But I
I
think it's
think so.
different. I can't imagine that
Because the thing
honestly.
is, I don't actually think they're interesting, but like to find people that are actually interesting in our what we're talking about of traveling to all these countries,
Uh-huh.
being the most interesting man in the world, doing this or doing that, it's a lot less frequent than the people who are doing the academic studies. But it's not easy to
Right.
find.
Right. I'm just saying from the point of view that I think it's a lot more common that you'll find a guy who finds something that's extremely difficult and like physically taxing to be very respectful and interesting. I'm talking about majority here, not
Yeah,
like the
yeah. Okay,
minority.
fair
And
enough.
then on the woman's side, it's more like you'd probably find a woman that's getting into business and very independent for whatever reason. Like that's what they would find extremely,
Mhm.
oh, that's very interesting. But then what would it be for the man side? Oh, it's probably like a rock star or
Yeah, yeah,
some,
yeah.
yeah, like
Mhm.
I mean, even sometimes like these crazy different character types that you hear that are just like, I don't know, they're just different.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, Christian, let's wrap it up right there. That's
Okay,
episode
guys.
37. Episode 37, quick one. Maybe it was maybe 15 minutes, but I think you guys got the point. And I'll say it once again. Being interesting is a currency. It is a currency.
Okay, guys. Make sure to tag us on Instagram and we will repost it. Also, if you guys want to join the Axios Army, let us know. Message us on Instagram, and we will see you guys next week. Peace out.